Any story must start somewhere, and ours begins in the small farming village of Harkenwald. Unbeknownst to the owner of the Mallard Inn, on this night, the 10th of Kythorn, more than a week before the summer solstice, the catalyst to an ancient prophecy resided within their establishment's walls, drinking, eating, waiting for something to happen.
Hey all, Cole here. The Beginning is the name of the very first D&D game I ever ran, which eventually led to me falling in love with the game, thanks to one moment in particular, but that's for a later episode. I hope to entertain you all with these stories of my past campaigns as well as give tips and advice as I ran into my own problems. I eventually commissioned one of my players to paint this portrait of the player characters and the partners they made along the way, but at the beginning, there was Gul'dan, the High Elf Undead Warlock, Rez, the Goblin Ranger, Naya, the Water Genasi Monk, Colin, the fallen Aasimar Paladin, and Shyla, the Wood Elf Druid. Now, all the players were my friends from high school, so I had no problem flirting with them as the barmaid or insulting them as the innkeeper. Their backstories were light. It just so happens that all of these individuals were in the same place at the same time when this adventure began. And as in most fantasy campaigns,
the right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world.
They were enjoying their drinks and food, asking and joking about one another's characters, where Gul'dan just looked like a skeleton in robes, appearance-wise, and asking about the other disorderly patrons around the bar. And then, nothing. That awful, awkward silence fell for a campaign just started, characters just born, unsure of what to do next. And this is my first piece of advice. Should you ever find yourself in dead air or a lapse of action or intrigue, all you need to do is make something happen. It's a bit vague, but the plan is to give the players something to react to. This could be anything from a bar fight starting, a noticeably haughty and well-dressed noble entering the inn, or a shrill scream happening just outside the inn. In this particular moment, I went for the latter. As the group rushed outside and pushed past the growing crowd, they found the body of a courier, freshly killed with 2 crossbow bolts sticking out of their back, messenger bag missing, and a single letter grasped in one of their hands. The letter was addressed to the mayor of Harkenwald from the Lord of Garderun, Habert Draghard, who was looking to employ individuals who can disrupt and dissuade recent attacks from a clan of elves that have posted around the distant town. Read aloud by Naya, and under the promise of coin and high repute, our heroes formed a group to travel to the Garderun and stop the foreign incursion. From Harkenwald, it was a day-and-a-half journey following the King's Road northwest through the Harken Forest. As the sun sank on the horizon and their shadows grew, our party began searching for a place to settle for the night, but just ahead of them, and beyond the tree line, they heard a loud squelch. As they crouched low and approached, they saw a makeshift camp, tents made from leather and hide, a small campfire, and 2 large, lumbering figures among broken bodies. These figures, discerned by the well-traveled Rez, were half-ogres, 10 feet tall, muscular, and dangerous, but a closer look revealed that their skin had been carved and emblazoned with a glowing runic lexicon. As the last of the humanoid bodies fell still, half-ogre ears were intrigued by the sound of clattering chainmail from their new paladin observer, and initiative was rolled. In this very short first combat, I learned about a little something called the action economy. To preface this, I thought that 2 fully equipped half-ogres with battle axes and javelins would be too hard a battle to win, seeing as how I think the average health of the party was around 10 hit points, meaning they could have been one-shot by one of those hits. So I had them disarmed, dealing 1d4 plus 3 damage if they were to hit with these unarmed attacks, and seeing as how they had just gotten done roughhousing with his camp's inhabitants, I had their hit points reduced as a result. Now, here's what happened. The ogres rolled badly on their initiative, and the entire party went before they had a chance. And I watched as each one of the 5 party members, one by one, connected with their attacks, pelting them with arrows, magic or otherwise, leaving one of the half-ogres dead and the other one hurting, reducing the action economy from a 5 versus 2 to a 5 versus 1 scenario. I remember thinking, alright, that didn't go as expected, at least I can show them what these things are capable of. And then I rolled horribly low and swung high trying to hit Shiloh. And I watched as the rest of the party, on the second turn of combat, easily take down the second half-ogre. What I learned from this experience is, if you're planning to have less enemies than party members in a fight, make sure they actually have some meat on their bones to endure and combat the action economy. Make fights last longer than 1.5 rounds. But that was actually the end of the first session I've ever DM'd, and I hope you all enjoyed and maybe even learned something. Thanks for watching, like if you did, and subscribe for more.